On that topic, actually, what are some of the things that you think people can do to kind of lessen that addiction, to lessen that hold that technology has on people? Because right now, it's so bad that it's affecting people's way of life. And I truly believe that, imagine you made a stick, back in the day, imagine you made a stick, and the stick went around killing people, making everyone's mental health bad. We would be like, what the fuck, throw the stick away. You know, like the people back then would understand that these tools are there to supplement your life, not to make your life worse. I feel like we've gone to a stage where most technology, social media, whatever we have, they're making our life worse. How do we, things that we can put in place, maybe you're thinking of doing it, I also go, but what are some of the things people can do in order to like offset the rage and the onslaught of technology so we can have a balanced kind of life? Big question, but let's discuss it.
No.
What some of the things do you do now that you think, actually, if I didn't do that, it'd probably be better for me? That, you know, in terms of...
Well,
like,
definitely a lot of the thing within, like, the amount of time that gets added up of me just simply scrolling on Instagram or whatever.
Yeah, doom scrolling, yeah, it's crazy.
Like, yeah, it just, you know, I don't even notice I'm doing it sometimes. I've just got it out, and I'm just, all of a sudden, I'm like, oh yeah, my phone's in my hand. Let me just put that away, like, at work or whatever.
I think I spent an hour
in
doom
bed.
scrolling today, and I just feel like, what the... I just
Yeah,
went
yeah.
like that. I didn't
you
even
know?
realise.
An hour's just gone just like that. Like, I definitely think that can, well, it is negative, I think. I think that is actually objectively a bad thing, because at the end of the day, you've gained... It's not that bad that you haven't gained anything from it, because maybe you do, even if you didn't have your phone out, maybe you do something else where...
But something more productive. You read a book or something.
Like, yeah, exactly, yeah, that's true, yeah, because, like, I guess what scrolling might be is kind of just relaxing, I guess. Sort of kind of turning your brain off a bit, like, you know, because we like to turn our brains off, you know, like, when you come home.
Is it a distraction, you think? Or...
Yeah, it's just simply like a little toy to just play around with, I guess. It's kind of like, I guess.
More than a little toy.
But it is more than that. It's definitely more than that, because, like, yeah, I guess it also depends on the content you're consuming too.
Yeah.
And to be honest, yeah, most of the stuff on Instagram that I'm looking at is a bunch of crap. It's just a bunch of, like, I don't even know. I couldn't even describe it to you. It's just
memes.
It's just a bunch of different, yeah. And this is the thing, I can't even remember what I've watched, you know. That's probably quite bad. You know, I don't even remember. I can't remember what I looked at on Instagram today, but I spent quite a while looking at it, I'm sure. If I added up every single second that I'd whipped my phone out today to watch Instagram, you know. But again, like, this is where I'm able to recognize that now, so I guess it's easy for someone to point their finger at me and be like, well, then you're not doing anything about it, so whose fault is it really? You know, it's kind of just a me issue. Which I do get. But I think where we'll see the negatives is when, like, say for example, people go into the toilet and you're so used to bringing your phone, like, that is actually, like, there is a tick in your brain where you're like, shit, I don't have my phone right now, like, I better go and get it, you know, in order to carry out whatever task that is, you know. That's where that does concern me a little bit, where I'm like, oh, like, it is weird that there's actually a switch in my brain where it's all of a sudden my mood has changed because I know it's not there where I want it to be, you know?
It can get worse than that. Do you think it can get worse? Like, right now, where we are with technology, where we have social media and everyone's complaining, do you think it gets worse? Or do you think it just, some point, we're going to reach a point where we're going to be like, you know what, we're done, you know, we're going to put the phones away, or we're going to build phones that don't have screens, or, like, you know how people are trying to...
buy a Nokia brick if you want that, you know, like...
but no one wants a Nokia brick.
But no one, yeah, exactly. So people want a smartphone, and the thing is also it's incorporated with literally, like, careers now.
Your
you
life,
know?
yeah.
You need to check your emails, and now there's no excuse, you know, like, if you're not at home at your desk, you've got your desktop in your pocket.
hand, yeah.
You can check your emails, you can contact your whatever you need to do for a meeting or whatever it is. Like, it's literally a part of what you do for a living now, you know. In order to make money, your phone is involved in that. Your phone is involved in checking your money. Your phone is involved with spending your money. Every single thing in your life has something to do with your phone, basically, at this point, you know.
So do you think we just have to be dependent on it? There's no way we can...
It's already, it's all, we've created that atmosphere now where, like, you have to depend on it. Like, it's not even a matter of, like, you don't have the option to not have a phone.
Jesus.
You can't not have a phone. You could, like, what are you going to do for a living if you don't have a phone? You'd have to just be a tree person, you know? You have to live out in the trees and
not
be a
true.
I'm going to be honest, like, what would you? And this is bad because I couldn't really say like what would I
You
do.
could live
without
your
my phone.
I mean, okay, yeah, I'll go off that.
Yeah.
Like literally, like okay, so look
Have
at
a
like
good
for
job,
example
so,
your
like,
dad, right?
yeah.
He lived his whole most of his life without a smartphone. He could have did. He obviously had a phone. You can call him, you can reach him.
Yeah.
But he didn't have a phone where he could be, he goes to the toilet and he's, oh my god, I left my fucking phone back. I can't
Yeah.
doom scroll on the toilet for the next hour.
Well, yeah.
There is limits. There is like certain balances that I think we can reach. That I think we've kind of gone so used to getting having our phones with us that we are kind of like we don't want to change. And I think that's an important thing too. If you have a system or society which we have right now when it comes to technology and we're so used to it, we're so comfortable and it's so convenient, like I was saying, we don't want to change it. So why even think of like solutions against that? But I think what we're going to find because I'm seeing the next wave, like our generation was bad, whatever, but now the skibbity toilet there is. Now the skibbity bop, skibbity licks, like all of that shit, which is actually funny, but it's also scary.
Sorry, you're not a Sigma, buddy. Sorry, you're not a Sigma.
I'm not being mewing enough. I'm not being. But you know what? I know it's tongue in cheek, but I know, but these things, it's like, you know what it is? It's like those those Xpod kind of like chats that we used to have. You know, when you're like a Call of Duty, Xbox, whatever. But that's like now the whole internet. That's just like how people communicate now.
That is, it's become.
And I'm kind of scared of that.
Another language. I do understand that because you can have I'm sure plenty of people probably have examples of like family members they know who are kids or like they just know or they work in a school or something and you'll realise there's actually children who that's their speech, bro. Like that's actually like they communicate their words with that kind of slang, which is I can see why that instantly becomes like, oh, that's probably pretty bad if that is the case. I'm sure anyone would probably look at that and go, that might say something about their cognitive ability.
Is it too late, you think? Is that what you're saying?
No, I don't think it's too even for kids who might even be in that position right now where they seem to be a brain rot kid or whatever you want to call it. Like at the end of the day, they have their whole life ahead of them. Like they're gonna have their whole experiences. At the end of the day, they are a human being. They're gonna
grow up.
At some point, they're gonna grow up, and they'll realize that there's so much more to life than skibbity bop bop. Yes, but yeah, like I think it can be unhealthy to kind of really form a hatred for those kind of aspects of the internet because like. I've had plenty of moments where I'm like, this is all, I just thought it was absolutely like terrible. No one should be like speaking like that or whatever. But like after a while, you kind of realize, there actually are, the kids will be all right, like they kind of are aware it's just stupid shite that they're looking at on the internet. They know it's the internet, and they're able to separate the internet from reality. Some better than others. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure there are some kids who might be more susceptible because this is the thing, like people do have different brains. Some might be more susceptible for it to be more negative than others.
But no more than us, for example. Do you think they're more aware that because they've kind of so ingrained into it, they're kind of grown up on it, that they're more used to the internet than we are? Do you think we look at it as like...
Maybe that would make them... I could see how that would make them less aware of separating... But I don't know, because you might be right about that.
The reason I'm thinking that, right, because I see this a lot of articles, a lot of people saying about how is a problem that these kids are growing up on the internet of all these things. But I'm thinking, hey, you're right. Like we grew up very similar to these, like, we had those Xbox chats and stuff like that. But we kind of grew out of that. At a certain age, you start going into the real world. Yeah. You have to work a job. Yeah. And you're working a job with someone face to face. You're not going to be like Skibbity Bob Riz. Yeah. They're going to want to speak to you normally. You're gonna change how you talk to people because you have to, right?
Yeah.
So I'm saying like the difference is that we weren't used to it. It was like we were the first wave of it. They're kind of more used to it. They have older brothers or sisters or parents or whatever the fuck that kind of know what the internet's like, and also they've grown up in it where they understand that they're more used, they're more tech savvy. These kids are more coders, they're more like technologically aware, so they can see the system, the algorithm for where it is because they kind of try to understand it.
Yeah.
Do you think that's the case? Do you think that's why we shouldn't worry, or do you think, like you were saying, like they're all cooked?
There we go. I mean, with that actually, like there are plenty of examples of people who have learned coding and all this stuff, like probably because they've been raised in that.
Yeah.
They're part of that era.
But you're not sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I don't know. Like I don't really know where I'm going really. So I've hit a bit of a brain fart.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Like, do you think the question is simple? Do you think the fact that they've gone up with the internet and technology helps them, or do you think the fact that they're going up with technology is actually a detriment? Like, just simply, do you think that because they see what it is, and like you were saying, they're so used to the fact they know it's all jokes, they know it's all memes, they know it's all, that's how they talk, they understand memes, it's all like kind of like implicit in it, they understand that, that's why they're okay?
I think that all comes with age though, and I guess the scary part about it is the ones that seem more consumed by it are really, really young children, you know? Like, they're very young, so they're, as I remember you saying earlier, they're very impressionable. So, and it's also a very delicate part of life, you know? What you do as a kid does have a bit of a butterfly effect.
Of course.
There are probably cases where you can break out of that, you know, where like you grow up and like you realise life's very different to like what you perceived as a kid, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I guess that's the scary part. Is obviously it's very young people who seemingly are quite consumed by those things. So I can definitely see why it raises concerns. You know, I mean, like speak to anyone who works in a school, and they'll probably say like, this is very, very drastically different to what it might have been like 30-ish years ago or something like that. You know. I'd be interested to speak to a teacher who's been working at a school for like 60 plus years or something, you know,
and see the difference.
To see like if has it always been drastic changes, or is this like genuinely,
the most drastic one?
Is this sticking out like a sore thumb? Is this actually incredibly different? Because I think that's kind of the perspective we'd need in order to really have an understanding of that.
Okay, I got a question. Speaking of schools, one thing we always talk about, and I think you spoke about multiple times recently, is higher education. Because we spoke about uni a lot, and I had this kind of, I was ranting on about this years ago about how uni is an absolute scam because it's just the systems is broken, you know, because kind of like building on what we're talking about, the systems that we're building kind of have like this thing where they become so convenient that we don't actually kind of like evolve them, and they become stale and they don't grow, and it actually become a detriment to people. So the question I'm having is like looking at higher education, so that's like university above. Do you think higher education is a scam, or do you think people can actually use it for good benefits?